What if the thing that makes you happy is the thing that controls you? Imagine a world where everyone is happy all the time. No conflict, no anxiety, no pain. You wake up, take a pill that makes you feel good, go to work where everything runs smoothly, and spend your evenings indulging in pleasure. Sounds great, right? But here's the twist. What if that very happiness is what takes away your freedom? Aldous Huxley, the author of Brave New World, had a disturbing idea. He believed that in the future, we wouldn't need dictators or secret police to control us. We'd do it to ourselves, with pleasure, not with fear, but with entertainment, comfort, and convenience. In Brave New World, people are born in labs, assigned roles, and trained to be satisfied with them. If anyone feels sad or uncertain, they take a drug called Soma that makes them feel instantly better. There's no struggle, no big emotions, no real relationships, just endless ease. It's a society built on stability and happiness. But it's also empty. Huxley wasn't just making this up. He saw how real-life psychological techniques like operant conditioning, where people or animals learn to do things because they get rewards, could be used to guide behavior without force. That means people could be trained, not forced, into giving up their freedom and not even realizing it. Think about modern life. Notifications buzz, likes flood in, streaming shows never end. And if you're bored or stressed, there's an app, a snack, or a pill for that. You don't need to be told what to do. You already do it, because it feels good. That's the scary part. Huxley feared that the world wouldn't be ruined by things we hate, like war or censorship, but by the things we love: comfort, entertainment, instant gratification. And here's the big question he leaves us with. Is happiness worth trading your freedom for? That's the main idea, and it's one worth thinking about. Because in a world overflowing with distractions and pleasures, the real danger might not be that someone takes away your freedom. It might be that you give it up willingly, for comfort. But here's where things get even more interesting, and more real. In today's world, we don't need a world state to condition us. We have algorithms. Your phone already knows how to keep you scrolling. Streaming services suggest what to watch next, before you even decide. Apps are designed to give tiny hits of pleasure, like a treat for a well-trained pet. The more time you spend, the more data is gathered, and the better they get at keeping you hooked. This isn't science fiction. It's behavioral design. It's B.F. Skinner's experiments with rats, just updated with Wi-Fi and push notifications. Huxley didn't know exactly what technology would look like, but he understood the psychology behind it. When pleasure is easy and constant, people stop asking questions. And that's the insight most people miss. Real control doesn't always come from limits. It often comes from having too many choices that all lead to the same outcome: passivity. When every option is shallow comfort, we stop searching for depth. We stop tolerating discomfort, which is where real growth and truth often live. If you feel sad, do you reflect? Call someone? Write? Or do you just open TikTok and swipe until it goes away? That tiny moment, that choice, is exactly what Huxley was warning about. It's not about censorship or force. It's about giving up thought for distraction, trading meaning for ease. That's the real cost. And it raises a critical question for all of us. Are we shaping our technology and habits, or are they shaping us? This leads to another surprising insight. Comfort can be a trap, not a reward. We often assume that if something feels good, it must be good. But feeling good isn't the same as being well. A person can feel happy while avoiding all challenges, yet become weaker over time. In Brave New World, citizens are constantly soothed by Soma, but they've lost their depth. No struggle, no pain, and also no love, no purpose, no real identity. Now compare that to real life. The more we avoid discomfort through entertainment, substances, or even constant busyness, the less prepared we are to handle it when it eventually arrives. And it always arrives. A society built entirely around pleasure may not feel like a prison, but it quietly becomes one, because people stop growing. Growth requires friction. Relationships take work. Creativity comes from boredom and restlessness. Truth often hurts before it heals. And yet, if we remove all discomfort, we remove the chance for any of those things to happen. Modern culture increasingly treats discomfort like a bug in the system. Got anxiety? Medicate it. Boredom? Distract it. Loneliness? Swipe it away. But each of these responses, while not wrong in isolation, builds a habit of escape. And repeated escape becomes a lifestyle. That's why Huxley's world is so unsettling. It shows us what happens when we succeed too well at eliminating pain. We eliminate the very things that make us human. Now here's a tough truth. When you give up difficulty, you often give up meaning. Think about some of the most meaningful experiences in life. Falling in love, building something, raising a child, fighting for a cause, learning a skill. What do they all have in common? They're hard. They come with effort, confusion, risk, even failure. But that's exactly why they matter. They demand something from you. And in giving that, you grow. In Huxley's Brave New World, meaning is stripped away by making everything easy. There's no art, no deep relationships, no lasting goals. Just constant stimulation. Everyone is happy, but no one is alive in the full sense. There's no need to reflect, to feel deeply, or to change. Now consider how that shows up today. We've become more efficient at eliminating friction, same-day delivery, personalized playlists, AI-generated answers, automated everything. And while that's convenient, it can also make us passive. If life always works the way we want it to, we never learn how to deal when it doesn't. Resilience isn't built through ease. It's built through challenge. That's what makes Huxley's vision so haunting. It's not about a villain taking away your freedom. It's about a world where freedom just becomes unnecessary and eventually unwanted because everything else feels too good to give up. But here's the powerful flip side. We still have a choice. We can resist the drift toward passivity by choosing depth. That means turning off the noise sometimes, being bored without escaping it, facing discomfort instead of dodging it, asking hard questions even when easy answers are available. That's what keeps us awake and alive. So what do we actually do with all of this? It's easy to read Huxley's warning and feel helpless, like the systems around us are too big, the habits too baked in. But change doesn't start with governments or technologies. It starts with what we pay attention to and what we choose every day. Attention is the new currency, and every time we spend it, we're making a trade. Scroll or reflect, numb or feel, avoid or engage. These seem like small choices, but over time, they shape who we are. They determine whether we live by design or by default. The systems Huxley feared didn't need to take away your rights. They just needed to distract you from noticing they were gone. That's why attention matters so much. If you can't focus, you can't think clearly. If you can't think clearly, you can't choose freely. And if you can't choose freely, someone else or something else ends up choosing for you. Reclaiming your freedom starts with reclaiming your attention. Start small. Turn off a few notifications. Set time limits on social media. Sit with a thought for longer than a few seconds. Journal, read, talk to someone with no agenda. It doesn't have to be perfect or big. It just has to be real and yours. Because if you don't decide how to use your mind, the world will do it for you, and it will always offer pleasure first. That's the trap. In Brave New World, the people didn't rebel because they didn't feel oppressed. They were too comfortable to care. The challenge for us today isn't to fight against suffering. It's to stay awake in a world that's constantly trying to lull us into comfort. And that starts with one question. What are you paying attention to? And is it worth the cost? Happiness is not the goal. Awareness is. Huxley didn't write Brave New World to tell us to reject all pleasure or to live in constant struggle. He wrote it to help us see more clearly, to ask, what kind of life are we really building? Because there's nothing wrong with enjoying life. The problem comes when comfort becomes a replacement for purpose, or when distraction replaces reflection. When we stop asking why, because what's next is always easier to reach for. Real freedom means being able to pause, to notice, to decide for yourself what matters, even if it's harder, slower, or less popular. Here's a simple, real-world comparison. Using GPS is convenient. It gets you where you're going. But if you always rely on it, you stop learning how to find your own way. The same goes for your mind. The more you outsource your direction to technology, trends, or convenience, the harder it becomes to navigate without them. That's what Huxley feared. Not a future where we're forced into cages, but a future where we never realize we've wandered into one. So what can we do? We pay attention. We ask questions. We choose hard things sometimes, not because we like pain, but because we value growth. We protect our time, our focus, and our relationships, even when the world says we don't have to, because meaning doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's built, brick by brick, day by day, thought by thought. And maybe that's the answer Huxley leaves us with. We don't need to escape the world. We just need to wake up inside of it. Now that we see the trap, the next step is to ask, how do we live differently without running away from the world we're in? It starts with small, daily resistance, not rebellion in the dramatic sense, but resistance to automatic living, resistance to constant noise, to instant reactions, to thoughtless consumption. Because the danger Huxley showed us isn't about bad people doing bad things. It's about good people slowly losing sight of what matters. Not from cruelty, but from comfort. And this is where we have real power. Not in changing the whole system at once, but in choosing how we show up in it. You don't have to delete all your apps, move off grid, or reject modern life, but you can build habits that protect your clarity. Spend part of the day without a screen. No background noise, no scrolling, just your thoughts. Let yourself be bored. Don't fill every moment. See what surfaces when you don't run from silence. Have deeper conversations. Ask people how they really feel, what they really think, and share back. Create something. Write, build, sketch, or cook. Not for likes, but just because it's real. Reflect before reacting. Pause before buying, posting, or responding. None of this is dramatic, but that's the point. The world Huxley feared doesn't collapse with a bang. It drifts, one convenience, one shortcut, one skipped thought at a time. The way out isn't through rage or escape. It's through awareness and choice, repeated daily. The real test isn't whether we reject pleasure. It's whether we can handle pleasure without letting it replace meaning. So if you want to live freely, not just exist, don't chase constant happiness. Chase clarity. Choose discomfort sometimes. And above all, stay awake. Let's take this one step further. It's not just about how we live. It's also about what we're contributing to. Every time we click, scroll, or buy, we're not just making personal choices. We're feeding systems. Recommendation algorithms, data tracking, ad targeting, they all run on feedback loops we help shape. That's not paranoia. It's design. We don't just live in the system. We reinforce it. If we constantly seek what's easy, shallow, or fast, that's what keeps getting produced. If we reward content that's loud but empty, more of it shows up. If we numb our minds daily, we help normalize that behavior for others too, especially kids, peers, and future generations watching what normal looks like. This isn't about guilt. It's about awareness. You matter in the system, not as a slogan, but literally. Your habits shape demand. Your attention shapes culture. Your standards shape what survives. Huxley warned us that we might trade truth and freedom for comfort without realizing it. But what he couldn't fully predict was how that trade would become a business model, one that scales with every click. That means every act of resistance, however small, does count. Reading something that challenges you instead of just entertains. Supporting creators who promote depth over speed. Not sharing things designed only to provoke or distract. Choosing quality over quantity in what you consume. These are micro decisions, but they matter because they either reinforce or interrupt the loop. We are not just passive users. We are active participants. And if we want a culture that values attention, meaning, and depth, we have to start by living that way ourselves, one decision at a time. No one is coming to save you from distraction, passivity, or meaninglessness. Not an app, not a government, not even a philosophy. The work is yours. That may sound heavy, but it's also freeing, because it means you don't need permission to start. You don't have to wait for the world to change before you begin living with depth. You can start now, not by flipping your life upside down, but by asking better questions. What am I choosing without thinking? What do I do just because it's easy or expected? Where am I escaping instead of engaging? What would a more intentional version of my day look like, even just 10% more? These aren't big or flashy questions, but they cut deep. Huxley's vision isn't just a warning about society. It's a challenge to each of us. Can you stay awake in a world built to sedate you? Can you seek meaning when everything around you screams for ease? If there's a path forward, it starts with noticing, then deciding. Choosing a slower route when you could rush. Pausing before numbing. Engaging with the difficult, not just the entertaining. Saying no to what steals your focus, even if everyone else is saying yes. This isn't about rejecting pleasure or tech or progress. It's about reclaiming how you use them and how they use you. So if you're looking for a final insight, let it be this. You won't drift into a meaningful life. You have to steer. And the steering wheel is always right in front of you. In your next thought, your next click, your next choice.